We all think we know the story of the Titanic, right? Big ship, iceberg, tragic ending. But honestly, that's just scratching the surface. This is a story about crazy ambition, luxury you can't even imagine, and a whole chain of failures that turn this incredible dream into an absolute nightmare. So, you ready? Let's get into it.
Okay, so it really all kicks off with this unbelievably bold statement. The vice president of the White Star Line actually said out loud that the Titanic is unsinkable. And you've got to understand, this wasn't just some clever marketing slogan. No, people believed it. It was like a testament to the power of technology at the time. And that feeling, that absolute, unshakable confidence, well, that's where the trouble really begins.
So that leads us to the big, glaring question, doesn't it? I mean, if this ship was supposed to be this masterpiece of engineering, the best thing humanity could build, then how in the world did it end up at the bottom of the ocean on its maiden voyage?
Right. To really get to the bottom of this, we've got to peel back the layers on that unsinkable myth. I mean, where did that idea even come from? It didn't just appear out of thin air. It was actually born from this crazy corporate rivalry and some super advanced, but as we'll see, deeply flawed technology. So, picture this. It's the early 1900s, and the race to cross the Atlantic is fierce. It's a total battleground. You have the Cunard Line, and their whole thing was speed. They had the fastest ships, period. So, White Star Line, the company behind the Titanic, they had to make a choice. And they decided, you know what? We're not going to play that game. Instead of speed, they went all in on size, comfort, and just insane luxury. The whole idea was to make the Titanic a floating palace, a destination all on its own. And this is the piece of tech that really started that whole unsinkable thing. It was brilliant, really. The ship's hull was split into 16 separate watertight compartments. The idea was pretty simple. If you get a hole in the ship, the water floods one compartment, you seal it off, and the rest of the ship is fine. The ship could supposedly stay afloat even if 4 of these compartments flooded. 4! I mean, at the time, this was just an absolute engineering marvel.
Okay, so the engineering was impressive for sure, but the Titanic was about so much more than that. It was a declaration of wealth, of pure opulence. People weren't just buying a ticket to get from point A to point B. Oh no, they were booking an experience inside what was, for all intents and purposes, a floating palace. And the size of this thing, well, it was just staggering. Get this, the ship was 882 feet long. Just try to picture that. It's like taking 3 football fields and laying them end to end. That's how big this thing was. At the time, it was literally the largest moving object humans had ever built. Just mind-boggling. And as you can imagine, getting a ticket for this palace wasn't cheap. But what's truly wild is when you look at the prices in today's money. A first-class ticket, that could run you over $100,000. $100,000. So you had this incredible floating showcase for the super rich, but at the very same time, you had immigrants packed into third class, all of them just dreaming of a new life in America. The contrast is just wow. And the stuff they had on board? It was completely unheard of for a ship at the time. I'm talking a heated swimming pool, a full-on gym, Turkish baths, even electric baths. I mean, this is the kind of stuff you'd expect at a super high-end hotel, right? Not on a boat in the middle of the ocean. It was literally its own self-contained world. And then everything changed. That perfect little world of luxury and absolute confidence met a very cold, very hard reality out there in the dark on a moonless night. And what's just so terrifying is how fast it all went down. Think about this. 11:39 p.m., the iceberg is spotted. Just 37 seconds later, less than a minute, they hit it. Only 20 minutes after that, the captain is forced to accept the impossible. His unsinkable ship is going down. And in less than 3 hours from that first impact, the Titanic vanishes beneath the waves. Gone. So here's the key takeaway. The Titanic didn't sink because of one thing. It wasn't just the iceberg. It was a chain reaction, a catastrophic cascade of failures. It was like a line of dominoes, where one mistake knocked over the next and the next until the whole thing came crashing down.
And it all starts right here with failure number 1. On the day of the sinking, the ship's radio operators got not 1, not 2, but 7 separate warnings about ice fields ahead. 7. But here's the thing, they were swamped, sending personal telegrams for the rich passengers, so the warnings weren't treated as urgent, they weren't taken seriously by the crew on the bridge, and the captain never even thought to slow the ship down. They were just steaming ahead at full speed. Then you've got the actual physical problems with the ship itself. First, the steel they used. Turns out it got super brittle in the icy cold water, so it just cracked on impact instead of bending. The rivets, the little metal pins holding the whole thing together, they were weaker than specified and they just popped right off. But the real killer, the design flaw that doomed the ship, was those famous watertight compartments. They weren't high enough. They didn't go all the way up. So once a few of them filled up, the water just spilled over the top into the next one, and then the next one. Kind of like filling up an ice cube tray. It was a fatal design flaw.
Okay, this one is just shocking. The Titanic only had enough lifeboats for about half the people on board. Let that sink in. Enough for 1,178 people out of more than 2,200. And why? What was the reason? Because more lifeboats would have made the decks look cluttered. They sacrificed safety for aesthetics. It's just unbelievable.
And if all that wasn't bad enough, there's the story of the SS Californian. This was another ship stopped for the night because of the ice, maybe only 20 miles away. They could see the Titanic firing off distress flares, but their captain just thought it was some kind of party, maybe setting off fireworks. And their radio operator, he'd already shut down his radio for the night and gone to sleep. Help was so close, but it never came. The loss of the Titanic was obviously a massive shock to the entire world. But out of that tragedy came a legacy that completely and permanently changed the rules of safety at sea. And this right here, this is the devastating human cost of that whole cascade of failures. Look at those numbers. Over 2,200 people on board, and only 705 survived. More than 1,500 people lost their lives that night. After something like that, the world wasn't just asking for change, it was demanding it. And the response was incredibly fast. Maritime law was basically rewritten from the ground up because of this disaster. From then on, all ships had to have enough lifeboats for every single person, no exceptions. Radio rooms had to be staffed around the clock 24/7. And everyone agreed, if you see a distress flare, it means one thing and one thing only. Someone is in serious trouble.
You know, for 73 long years, the Titanic just sat in total darkness at the bottom of the ocean. No one knew exactly where it was. Then, in 1985, they finally found it. But here's a crazy modern twist. The wreck itself is disappearing. There are these metal-eating bacteria that are literally consuming it, and scientists think it could be completely gone by 2030. Soon, all that will be left is the story.
So that leaves us with one final big question. The Titanic taught the world a brutal lesson about hubris, right? About the danger of thinking that our technology makes us invincible. It's a lesson about humility in the face of nature. And when you look around today with all of our own incredible, complex technology,